It's time for Around the Ozarks Sports Scene, sponsored by Thompson Sales, Fast Break Sports, and The Pitch. Here's your host, Scott Puryear.
Welcome in to another edition of Around the Ozarks Sports Scene. I am Scott Puryear. As always, big thank you for tuning in this week. Big thank you to our sponsors as well. Thompson Sales, The Pitch Pizza and Pub, and Fast Break Sports. We'll talk more about those folks later on in the program. But always, every year, we have to make room at least once or twice to catch up with one of our all-time favorites, Molly Carter, Molly Miller, the new head coach at Arizona State University women's basketball. Trying to get some sleep, but it's not possible these days. Molly, thanks for taking time to visit with me.
Thanks. It's been a minute, but yeah, this is fun to break up the day. Scott, I have to teach you. This is how I taught Cy. Peace sign, pinky. Now it forks up. Let's see it.
I don't know that I'm that.
Peace
not
sign.
that one, because that's I can do this one. Horns down, peace sign,
pinky. There you go.
Pinky.
Forks up.
What is that?
Okay.
Forks up.
Yeah, forks up.
You really have to enunciate that properly, don't you? That forks up thing, or it could be a problem. So
mind how they pronounce it.
Yeah, and then your kids picked that up pretty quick. I saw in the press conference, right?
Mm-hmm. We're like, okay, all pictures, you're gonna have to kind of change your hands a little bit. So they got it right off the bat. Very proud of their coach.
Do they understand what's happening and what's going on? To decide, Cy's younger. How old are they now? Crosby's what?
Crosby's 8 and Cy is 5. And yeah, I mean, they know what I do. And then obviously we went on a great run in March, and then things happened really fast after that. And we kept them really informed, which was good. I think just to have some honest conversations, but they are pumped to be at their same school, in the same house, with the same neighborhood kids, and just a new place to visit. Down the road a little bit, they come here and they act like this practice facility is their own. So business as usual for the Millers.
Yeah, well, and of course, for those who weren't paying attention back at the end of the season, Molly's been at Grand Canyon University in Phoenix proper for the last 5 years, had a phenomenal year with Grand Canyon, 32-3 final record, 30-game win streak in that, get their first ever berth in the NCAA Tournament, give Baylor a massive fight before falling in that one. And then it was on. Of course, everybody in the country was wanting to talk to the coach who'd won 30 in a row and won 32 games. And about a week and a half maybe for the process to play out and make your decision. Is that about right?
Yeah, I mean, it all happens in real time, right? So I think that's why a lot of coaches have these agents so they can be the front line. And mine was phenomenal in that, because I didn't want any ounce of my energy to focus away from my team, and we were doing something special. So I was locked into making a run. It really, the coaching carousel kind of happens during March Madness when you're getting into conference tournaments. So there was that, but it was so separate. Like I think I did a really good job of compartmentalizing the two. If I had like a 10-minute window here, or, if we had a day off and I had an hour when I wasn't doing film, I'd tell my agent and that'd kind of be the coordinator. So I was really able to focus and lock in on my team, and we had a phenomenal run. It was neat to be able to play and hang with Baylor at their place. I was proud of our kids for how they kind of, this whole process of, making it to the tournament, that pressure, that was a lot, because I think, it was our time and the time was now. And for the WAC, you have to win the tournament. Like, you have to win 3 games. And here we had won 27, which seemed like a great resume, but that probably still wasn't going to be good enough if we had dropped one in the tournament, because we were in a conference that was a 1-bid league. So I think for us, we focused, we dialed in. Those girls were locked. They were phenomenal in what it took to get there. And then what a great moment to celebrate a regular season championship, a conference championship, and then a nice run there against Baylor.
When did the conversations start, like with your agent, in terms of other schools and interest? I mean, because you guys had the 30-game win streak. What was it, a month out from the end? Was it longer than that? When did he kind of start pinging you and saying, hey, so-and-so is interested?
Yeah, I think ADs would call him, at the beginning of March, and that was just a conversation. He kind of knew, what I was doing in terms of like, all that's noise right now to me. And you need to handle that. If you think something is worth me listening, the same thing that happened from Drury to Grand Canyon. We were locked in. We're going to win a national championship in my mind that year that COVID cut our streak. And so this happens every year in sport. And again, we're dealing with it in real time. So I had him filter some of that. And just like my jump from Drury to GCU, I wasn't really looking, or I didn't really, wasn't out and seeing what changes were happening. I was locked in on my team, and then an opportunity presented. It wasn't like I was knocking on a lot of doors. Opportunity knocked on my door. And at that point, you educate yourself, and your agent does a lot of that legwork for you with resources, commitment. Obviously, you talk about location and level. So there's some things that would have to align initially, but it's just not really in the front of your mind at that point as a coach. It's the sidebar conversations that I don't have to have, that I don't want to have. Yeah. But again, this is happening all at once. And so, he filtered a lot of that for me, which I'm really grateful for. And then, after the conference tournament, that's when it was pretty heavy. But at that point in time too, like, we're just in a rhythm as a team, and I don't want to do anything to break that rhythm. And that's the tricky part of it. But I think you can do a good job with a great team and a mature team. And that's what I had. And they were focused, and I was focused, and my staff was phenomenal. So it was just one day at a time for us. And then, when the conversation with Arizona State went really, really well. And I was fortunate and blessed to have some options. But at the end of the day, I want to win, and I want to win at the highest level around great people. And I think a conversation with Graham, our AD, really kind of gave me some insight to what this would look like for my future and the future of my family.
Now, who is he, the agent? Because, I was your agent at Drury. When we did the radio show at Rib Crib, if you want more pulled pork, I'd say, Bob Luke, we need more over here from Molly. Who's this guy now, and how did you find him?
His name is Mike Harrison, and he's great. He had done a lot of NBA stuff. He kind of found me, and we had actually developed a relationship. It's funny, I didn't have an agent for like 3 out of the 5 years that I was at GCU. I had one in the beginning, and I kind of had one at the end, but because I wasn't looking. I was the same at Drury. Like I'm not looking every year. And I think two things can be true at the same time. I loved my time at GCU. I really enjoyed where the program got to, the trajectory, what we had built. And then I can be really happy to have this opportunity and spread my wings even a little bit more. But Mike did a really good job. But it was about a year where I wasn't looking to jump ship. I wasn't looking for the next opportunity. So we talked for about a year, but I didn't hire him, until this got really, really serious this last year. But he definitely earned his keep because he just knew how laser focused I was. I'm like, I need you to do all that. You go there. Yeah. I'm here. Dribble, pass, shoot.
So, obviously the people, maybe they don't know you, a former Kickapoo High School standout, Drury University player, and later coach. You're a Midwest girl. Mom and dad are, bouncing back and forth between Kansas City and Springfield now. This is home. This area will always be home. We had a couple of high-profile SEC jobs come open to the north and the south. Was that tempting? Did you speak with, or did he speak with both initially, at least? Kind of take us through that process. Was it tempting to maybe come back home?
Yeah, of course. I think one of the best things that my parents taught me was just listen. You just listen to these opportunities, educate yourself, really gather some facts around the situation that for me could be life-changing, this type of career move. And in that process, my agent, Mike, was able to gather some factual stuff, numbers and data and trajectory and what it looked like comparing peers in the conference. And so that was eye-opening. But I think, at the end of the day, this became our home too. I love my Midwest roots, and I really, really enjoyed my time there. But what did I spend there, Scott? 34 years of my life there. And so I hadn't spread my wings, and I hadn't grown, and this was an opportunity to do that. And you don't know what you don't know. And we ended up, coming here and loving the area and really enjoying the West Coast and Arizona. And I think fit is really, really important. And I'm a visionary, I want to push a little bit more. And I just think this is not a hidden gem. I mean, they've got tradition with Charlie Turner Thorne. They made it to Elite Eights and Sweet 16s, but to see kind of where it is now and where it could be, like, that motivates me. Like, that's a huge motivator. And I think in our conference in the Big 12, I do think you can go. I mean, we saw TCU do it. They were at the bottom of the conference, and now they're making a run to the Elite Eight. So I think in this conference particular, you can move maybe a little bit more than you would be able to in some other conferences. And I think for me, I want to win. I mean, I could go somewhere where I can make a positive change. We can win. We can chase championships. And I just thought the commitment that they had for women's basketball, and there's a little bit of comfort. I've recruited the area. I'm really comfortable with the high school coaches, the club coaches. I've been able to develop a network here myself. So it made a lot of sense for me to stay here and really get this program going in the right direction. And I'm really excited for that challenge.
I think you touched on something that I kind of figured after the fact was probably big, was if you're going to jump into the SEC at one of those other schools, you're going to have to go get players that can play with South Carolina and Texas and LSU and those places that have resources and are devoting resources, and they're going to be recruiting the same people with NIL and sometimes better resources. I mean, you had to have somebody in your league that you were expected to compete in that was going to pony up and do the same thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, this whole rev share settlement that just got passed, we had long conversations of what that looks like, particularly for women's basketball. They're supporting us here at Arizona State. So, there's a couple of things you need, I think, to succeed and get recruits. One, you'll always have the relationship base. Some people say that's thrown out the window. I would challenge that because I think kids know, like, all right, that they can chase the money, they can chase the bag, as they say, but what's really going to make them happy if they don't fit in the system or, they don't have a good relationship with the coaching staff or the players. So I do think there's some relationship elements, but it has to be paired with resources because there's always going to be a higher bidder. I mean, right? I think there's always going to be that. So if you can get close and you can have a tipping point be the relationship, and then I say pipeline to paradise. I mean, the quality of life here is phenomenal. And now we're switching to more third party NIL, true NIL, right? It's like the Joe's car dealership down the road. There's a trade there, right? You're going to promote, you're going to do this, and they're going to give you XYZ. Well, I think this is a city that has big and small business. It has decision makers, it's expanding population. There's eyes. It's just a metropolitan city, I think, bodes well for this landscape too. So I think there's even a little bit of a bigger bonus to be in a place like Phoenix where there can be some maybe more true NIL opportunities with the population, with the big market that we do have.
So if Molly Carter had NIL back in 2005, 6, 7, 8, who are the three places in Springfield you would have gone and visited personally to try to get a deal with?
Oh, yeah. No, I call Bob. Rib Crib, Andy's Ice Cream.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd probably try to.
Car dealers. Do you have any car dealers you would have
I'd probably try to hit up Youngblood. I'd get maybe that connection. Greta, I'll hit up my old teammates. See if she has any.
There you go. Well, still, Big Chuck would have taken care of you in a heartbeat.
He would have. He took care of me when I was a player for sure.
Do you look at this now and just kind of shake your head and go, what is going on here? I mean, it's so different than when you played and when you coached in your early days too. I mean, is it just kind of mind-boggling what we've become?
I think there needed to be something. This is probably the most impactful moment of our generation, of our lifetime in college sports with this settlement. It'll be interesting to see which way it goes because the two sides of the coin is like, okay, you wanted to get played and compensated for your name, your image, and likeness. We're doing that now, but you can't have your cake and eat it too. So you can't go say like, oh, I just want the collective to go give me $500,000 just pay to play. No, that's why the settlement got passed. So it'll be interesting to see how we put that toothpaste back in the tube when you're looking at these. I mean, Deloitte's every deal has to go through Deloitte. So it's going to be interesting because what is fair market value, right? What I determine it might be different than what you determine it for a player. So that'll be interesting. But the reason for the settlement was to be able to kind of have some parameters in place. So it's not the wild, wild west to be able to pay players. So now that that's happening, like, then how do you move away from some of this pay for play? It'll be interesting, but we got to manage it. I say players, the best ability is availability. Probably for coaches, the best ability is just like being able to pivot and understand, like, you've got to have adaptability in this landscape.
One thing I don't understand, and, in our area, Title IX has always been a big deal, and rightfully so. Do you have a feel on how that works with the revenue share? Because I see stories nationally about, well, the football team's going to get 18 million of that 20 million. And how do schools that get federal funding, how are they going to get around that with Title IX?
I think there's probably a lot more information out there than I could speak to. But I think the judge and the ruling, the purpose was to say, you're going to have this sum of money, and I can't tell you how to split it up. The schools, like, let's say the equestrian team at Stanford is really, really important to that institution. Like, the judge can't tell you, no, you can't do equestrian, you have to do tennis. So it's up to each institution. So it'll be tricky because I do think there's 2 appeals against the settlement already, and I think it has to do with Title IX. So we're probably about to see some of that upcoming, and that'll be interesting to see how it's woven in, because it wasn't meant to be part of what the settlement is in its outline, but it clearly is probably going to raise some questions.
So there's going to be some lawyers get bigger boats and bigger second houses and things like that out of this problem.
I think they were probably already colluding before the settlement even passed. So now that it is, we'll see. I think the settlements, it was meant to be pretty appeal proof, but I don't think that's going to be the case. We're going to have some lawsuits for sure.
So kind of the fun stuff, I know that it's a tricky balance for you because you need to have a social media presence. And I know you've always liked to do your own. There's places that coaches, especially older coaches, probably don't mess with it. They've got a staffer that does it. But during the whole Molly Miller, hottest coach in America, and that took on a whole new meaning, as in hottest as in appearance, after being not only the hottest, at 32-3 in a 30-game win streak. Livy Dunn doppelganger references. Did those make their way back to you? And how did you try to stay away from it? Did you tell Derek,
I don't have TikTok.
What's that?
No, Derek doesn't have social media either, but and I don't have TikTok. I think that's where a lot of that stems from. So some of my players would be like, Coach Miller, look at this and look at this. I'm like, the only reason I have this social media is for recruiting purposes. So we can put our brand out there. We can showcase what we're doing from a basketball perspective. I guess they say any publicity is probably good publicity, but for me, it's just, they're capturing some generic, genuine moments with the team. Like, I'll have that core memory forever. When I walked into that locker room, I thought everyone had kind of darted to their families and dispersed, but I did media and they were waiting on me in the locker room. So I walk in the locker room and I hear fire, fire. And I guess that was the code word just to douse me. And then we were dancing and they were egging me on with water angels. And we had a videographer in the room that captured that. And I think what is really cool about sport is you can kind of let people into your locker room or the inside circle with that. And there's a lot of scrutiny, but there's a lot of good to be had around what we're doing as a kind of a sports family. And those kids that I had last year, they'll be my kids, although they're grown adults, right? Forever. And, they come back and see me. Actually, a couple of them will come in and pop in the office, get some shots up here. But I just think it's, social media can be a really, really good tool. And I think capturing our run, that was really, really good. The other stuff that comes with it, no, I'm so much older than Livy Dunn. And but
I was going to say, do you want to take this opportunity to say, no, I was here first. Livy Dunn is the Molly Miller doppelganger. I mean, unless you want to be like the Cougar Livy Dunn or something. I mean, I don't know.
It's just the blonde hair. Just don't let this blonde hair fool you. I'm a feisty one. You know that, Scotty P.
Okay. Well, and let's talk about the short move? I mean, you haven't moved houses yet because basically you're only another 15 minutes away to your new job than you were at Grand Canyon. Does that make it tougher and harder, like when you left Grand Canyon? Because they got to know. I mean, it's just like Missouri State. If a coach does really well at Missouri State, there's another step up that ladder that's eventually going to come calling. Was that tough with Grand Canyon? Did you fight that with maybe the administration? I saw the president made some comments, and he got blasted for we want somebody that's going to want to be here. Well, okay, do they not want to ever have career advancement, or they want to stay here? Was it tougher the fact that you did stay closer to home in some aspects?
No, I think, for me, even like when I'm kind of molding my assistants and watching them grow, I hire them. And of course, there are some I want to kind of hang on to, but it really is, it's a feather in my cap when they go and pursue their dreams. One of my recruiting coordinators from last year, she got the head coaching job at NAU. And okay. Of course, she was great for us. She was great for me. But like, I'm so proud of her to see her move on and accomplish goals. And she was an alumni there. So what a great thing for her to be able to be a part of something successful and then make it into something her own. And now she's running a program. So I do think, like I said earlier, two things can be true. Like, we had a great run. Oh my gosh. Jamie Boggs, who hired me, she was great as an athletic director. And I really appreciated the resources that were poured into there. And they've done some really, really good things over there. And I'm just so proud to have been a part of it, and been a small piece in that journey. But my journey, whether it takes a left turn, right turn, or straight down the street, it's something that I'm very proud of, to know that like we did this. It's not me moving on to another level. It's the success we had at Grand Canyon, the national exposure. People finally were figuring out like, oh, Grand Canyon, where's that located? In the Grand Canyon? No, it's in Phoenix. We were getting some attention that school deserved, that program deserved. And I'm so proud of that. And I know they are too.
Let's talk about your coaching staff. You did bring Deja Bernard, the former Drury standout, over with you from GCU. Jason Glover, the associate head coach, came along. Kind of your X's and O's guys, I would imagine. He is, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and then a couple newcomers, and one of them I'm still kind of, how you pulled it off, but Stephanie Norman is your new associate head coach. She's an alum, so I'm sure you leaned hard on the heartstrings there with come back home, but an assistant the past 18 seasons at Louisville, which is one of the top perennial programs in the country, associate head coach there the last 12 or 13 years. How did you get Stephanie Norman to come home?
Persistence, I shared my vision, and, she wasn't going to leave Louisville. They were comfortable. She was a national coach of the year, or assistant coach of the year. She's been to multiple Final Fours. Like, that's where her kids are, who are growing up. So I do think that helps. One has one more year of high school left, and then they're empty nesters. So I think for her, it was like, you could do that. That place was running like a well-oiled machine, and she had been a part of that. And so it was kind of just clocking in and clocking out. But what a challenge. So that's one thing that I almost tugged at too, is like, this is a good challenge, for you to come help me and bring this to a level that you're proud of as an alum, but also give you a little change of pace. And, she loves Arizona too, probably end up retiring here. I know she says she's on her back nine, but I don't know how long I'll have her, but I'm hoping that she will be a part of this and get it up and running. But yeah, I pulled on the heartstrings, and I think my vision and my energy, and I think what appealed to her is there's a different way of doing things, and how we do it has kind of been recognized, and I was anxious for her to want to be a part of that. And so she hopped on with me, and it was really exciting because that was kind of a mic drop moment, I think, for our program too. And, it got us in with a lot of recruits right off the bat, because she's one of the best in the country to do it. Along with Daniel Barber, I brought him from Penn State, and he was at Clemson. And I haven't seen anyone on a recruiting landscape work as hard as he does. So those two, I know I needed someone from that level who had experience recruiting. So I swung big and got two big fish, which was really nice for the program and great to get us in the conversation early with some of these elite level kids.
The other one I wanted to mention is it Abby Olajuwon? I mean, when you hear Olajuwon as in basketball, it only means one thing. It's got to be some relation to Hakeem Olajuwon, that one of the stars of my, high school, college days and stuff. It is his daughter, and she joined your staff. And have you met him yet, or will he come out to some games or not?
Yeah, he'll come out. I had a recruiting obligation, but she's taking him on a tour of campus. So I'll get to meet him next time. But yeah, if and Abby does a great job with our posts. I'm like, I wonder where she gets that from. She gets asked to do the shake every once in a while, but she's been great. And I think even her experience, one of the reasons I brought her in was a lot of these players have aspirations to go pro and play in the W. So there was a lot of synergy because she was with the Connecticut Sun before here. She actually has playing experience at Oklahoma when they were in the Big 12 and coaching experience at TCU. So she has conference knowledge, but she also has that knowledge of the next level. So it's kind of seamless, and we can really tell these kids what it takes because she was just there if you want to become a pro and what it looks like. So she's kind of the professional concierge too she knows everything. And I think for us bringing in these high level kids, having the Mercury right down the street, but then also having someone that has those connections and gets how you climb that ladder is very helpful in the program.
Talk about Deja's development, Deja Bernard as a coach. I mean, what do you see for her future?
No, she's one of the bright ones. I knew she was going to be a coach when I coached her. She didn't know that. I knew that. And she really put the halt on any discussion. She's like, no, I think I'm going to go into like the medical field. So I let her do that for a few years. And then, at GCU, I called her. I'm like, so are you ready yet? She's like, okay, I'm going to try it. And so I finally twisted her arm to get her into coaching. And she has a great mind. She's got great energy. I think, what we're seeing now in this space is coaches have to kind of meet these kids where they are. And part of that is the passion and the energy behind it. I see it with Kenny Dillingham, who runs our football program. I mean, those guys will bust through a brick wall for him. His recruiting lately after they made the college football playoffs has been, off the charts, and he's innovative and he has energy. Like that's like the Deja type of energy and kind of my type of energy that we both pretty much complement each other. I mean, she can finish my sentences. She knows the defense like the back of her hand. She's kind of a mini me out there, which is nice to have because she knows what I want from these players. She lived it, and now she's been coaching it for a few years. So I think that's an advantage to us and an advantage in recruiting. I'm like, you should talk to Deja. Like she knows it all, the good, the bad, the ugly. She'll tell you what it's like to be a player for Coach Miller. So that's been helpful too.
It's almost hard to fathom, and I didn't know this till I looked it up before the interview, but Arizona State is the largest university in the United States with 79,000 students on campus. That's 50 times the size of the Drury University that you went to. Can you tell? I mean, when you pull on a campus, are there kids you might see once every 4 years just because you cross paths them? Have you been able to understand how big that campus is and how many students are there? And what does that do for you in terms of excitement, in terms of building a fan base for women's basketball?
Yeah, no, I really hope that's kind of a low-hanging fruit as we can get students excited about what we're doing and coming to games. But it's pretty unique. I like it because I put the campus into two separate parts. Like there's like an athletic village almost where you have your practice facility, your weight room. Our kids live right next door to the weight room. There's a nice little green space surrounded by restaurants. Like it's really cool. Like the quality of life in the athletic village is neat. But then you go, a street over and you've got kind of the campus, the academic. And it's not that, I mean, we say largest public institution in the country, but it's 1 square mile. So it's still easy to navigate. And I think wherever you go, you're going to get about, 100 to 200 people in your core that you interact with, professors and students, teammates, trainers. So there's going to be an intimate group wherever you go. I just think the neat thing is you can make it as big or as small as you want to. Like you can really spread your wings and try all these clubs. And there's like yoga, and the student union is really neat. And it's the #1 university in the country 10 years running for innovation. So you can really make it whatever you want to make it, large or small, interactive, which I think has been really, really cool to see. Because, when you come from two private institutions, it is a different space. And now here, I got a call from the mayor the other day. That was cool. And she was talking about strategy and how she can help us. So there's, you don't know what you don't know, but I think what's really neat here is football too. I'm really excited to go to tailgates and football games, and we're going to be really, really good this year. Kenny, like I said, has done a great job. So that'll be a new piece for me too. Lots of recruiting visits on those weekends. So it'll be fun to just figure out all these nuances of a new place.
Has being from Arizona State and the Big 12 conference opened more doors and more living rooms for you in recruiting, do you feel like?
Oh yeah. No, I definitely think we have been able to get in every conversation that I want to get in. I mean, we're talking to the top players, in the country right now. And that's special, one, because we have access, but two, we have the capability, the resources. My coaches have the relationships to recruit them here. And I keep on saying, like, quality of, like, this is such a cool place to live. Like, you've got kind of the intimacy and tight knit of Tempe. So it's not really overwhelming. I mean, it's really cool. It's right by the water. The football stadium is tucked between these two mountains, and you got the basketball arena right next to it. Our practice facility is gorgeous. So that's really cool. But then you've got the scope of Phoenix around you. So you can explore, you can go to concerts. If you're a foodie like me, there's endless restaurant opportunities. There's every sports team here. So I think you can really have a great experience. Like, people come to the Phoenix, Tempe, Scottsdale area and pay to vacation here. Like, this is a destination spot. If you can live it for 2, 3, 4 years and then decide if you want to go back home to the Midwest or if you want to stay here, like, what a cool experience. You're not in this remote college town. You get to live experiences here while you're being a student, while you're being an athlete. Like, it's the best of both worlds. And we're 7 minutes from the airport. So it's not like you have to, drive an hour and a half to get to your destination or your dorm when you're flying in. We're quick stop. It's great for parents too. Parents love that. They don't mind coming down here for a game in January when it's 75 and sunny, and they can spend their day in between games at the resort at the pool. So it's just it's a really cool environment.
Have you ever had a losing season at any level? I mean, Kickapoo, junior high, Drury. Have you ever had anything close to one?
No, I don't think we've ever had one that we haven't won 20 games. Now, it was COVID. We didn't play 4 games at GCU. 2 of them was the worst team in the league. So I'm going to say that was an honorary 22 win season, but on books it was 18 because we didn't play 4 bad teams. But yeah, other than that, it's always been 20 plus wins. And so that's the goal. That's the expectation. That's the standard. Losing? I don't know how to do that, Scott.
Yeah,
what is that?
That's where I'm going with this is you're taking over an Arizona State program that was 10-22 last year. They were 3-15 in the Big 12. The year before that, they were 11-15, 3-20 in the Pac-12. The year before that, 8-22, 1-17 in the Pac-12. 7-52 in league play in the last 3 years. I guess you're automatically going to come back to me and say those players aren't here for the most part, right? It's a fresh slate. Do you have to teach a program how to win, or is it because it's a new group of girls that doesn't matter? You're 0-0.
No, you do. You definitely have to set the tone and the culture. So when they walk into the bubble that is Arizona State, they know what it looks like. And so for me, it's every touch point, right? Like the expectation of our academic team coordinator, of our sports performance coach, of our trainer, who are, our people, compliance, people who are still here. Like, I want them to see what it looks like. So every touch point of the program emulates winning. And it is a process, and I'll probably have to tell myself to be a little patient, but I do think we can make an immediate jump. I mean, for me, I've brought in some really good kids that's going to set the culture. I think you can't skip that step. And of course, we want to win and set the culture initially, immediately. And I do think we're going to win. But like I had to do it with kids that I knew wanted to win and did what it took to win. So, and I don't think we sacrificed talent, but it's not like I went to the portal and looked up everyone who could score the basketball or had all these stats and said, yeah, they can come to ASU. It has to be a fit with my philosophy, because we're not going to get along if you're not wired to be hardworking, extra effort, do what it takes. The standard is the standard. Like, I had to recruit kids where we're going to start this thing on a strong culture. And that's what I think I did. And so we're going to build it. But I mean, the winning will come because the brand is tough, because the kids are tough, because, they're bought in. And I think even today, we've got a long ways to go. Thursday was probably our best practice. Today was one of our not so good practices. So it's just going to be the ups and downs for sure of these infancy stages that I'm going to have to maybe take a little chill pill on.
You beat this Arizona State team this past season at Grand Canyon 70-59. Was that a neutral site game? It drew 4,600 fans. Tell me about that. And did you have any idea that you'd be coaching the other bench the following year?
No. What's interesting is we beat Arizona State, and then we went to McHale with like 6,500 fans and beat Arizona. So, and then played Baylor, really, really well. So I basically played 3 Big 12 teams last year, which was really neat for me because I was able to evaluate what it's going to take, right? Baylor was at the top of the conference. They finished second, Arizona towards the middle, and then Arizona State a little bit towards the bottom. So I evaluated in hindsight, okay, I just played 3 Big 12 teams. Now I know what I need to recruit. Now I know how to do it. Now I need to figure out, what it's going to take to get to the top. So that was kind of a hidden blessing in disguise, I guess. I didn't realize it at the time, but that was going to be helpful for me taking over this position. But I do, looking back, think that was really, really helpful just to see the different styles. There's a lot bigger, stronger, quicker kids at this level. And I think that's something that I'm going to enjoy recruiting to, because I think that'll play into the brand really nicely. And yeah, that was at the Footprint Center. It was a good back and forth game. But I think for me, it was just seeing what it's going to take in this league. And I got to see that 3 times last year, which was pretty unique.
Absolutely. And so talk about roster construction, just like everybody else pretty much in today's era, you had to rebuild and reload, a lot of portal kids, some high school kids. How did you go about that for Arizona State? And you said you've got 12, I think, on the roster, 13 maybe, yeah. And you might have room for one more.
Yeah, initially they didn't have any incoming freshmen. So that was I want to build it with freshmen. I think portal transfers, those are good. Fill holes, or if you get one for 3 years or 2 years, that's an extra bonus. But you can really recruit experience from the portal. But I still want to recruit. You can recruit game experience from the portal, but I want to recruit freshmen because I want to have program experience and have that turnover and carry over every year. So it was important for me to try to get some freshmen here. So we have 2. We have one international kid coming over, Martina. She's from Italy. And then Amaya is actually from Mater Dei, and I recruited her at GCU. And it's fun because we have people filtering in and out, and I always ask them, like, which one's the freshman out there? And they don't know. And that's a good sign. So shout out to Amaya. She's doing good. She doesn't look like a lost freshman out there. She came from a great high school program, and you can tell. But then, yeah, with the portal, you just got to figure out what are some needs that need to be filled immediately. And then are there some kids that you can recruit to kind of build into the program? And I think we did both of that. We've got a kid from Ole Miss who has 3 years left, which is really good. We got a kid from LSU that just has 1 year left, but she's got great experience and she's going to leave her mark in terms of leadership. So there is like that balancing act of experience versus youth, but growing your youth and then maybe plug in your holes with a couple 1 or 2 year kids in the portal every year also.
When you evaluate these kids in the portal, like in LSU, and Ole Miss, can you call Kim Mulkey and say, hey, what's the story here? Or are coaches so guarded in their former players that you're on your own watching film and maybe an AAU coach or something? How do you evaluate somebody that you're basically going to try to bring in that you don't know anything about other than what you see on tape?
I mean, I'm comfortable calling a lot of these coaches. I think you have to, and anything. We're the only people that know this situation is us, right? Only coach to coach knows what we're doing and what we're navigating, what we're going through. I think for the most part, everyone's pretty honest. There's probably some guarded ones. I mean, especially if it's a league to league, you know, I'm probably not calling someone whose kid from the leagues in the portal. But if they're outside the league, I feel a little bit more comfortable doing that. And you know who's really close and good about doing that is assistant to assistants. You know, so I'll have my assistants like, hey, I've got a connection at that school. Let me call so-and-so. Yeah, I know them pretty well. Let me give them a call. So between all of us, there's probably some connection to be made where we can get a little bit of background. I think that is necessary to do that. And we're all in the same boat. We all want to try to make the best decisions for our programs. But yeah, it's quick. You know, I like portal recruiting because it is so quick. You know, gone are the questions of like, what's the student to faculty teacher ratio, you know, that freshmen ask. They know what they want. They get straight to the point and it's done.
Who are the teams to watch in the Big 12 next year from what you can tell? I mean, who are the conference realignment, OU Texas leaving for the SEC? You know, what can you tell us about Big 12 basketball now?
You know, it's going to be interesting because we got four new coaches. So there's going to be a lot of new styles, which will be really, really interesting because you don't know how that's going to look. You don't have, a lot of film on them playing in the Big 12, but I think it's an open conference really for anyone. I think that's what's unique about the Big 12. Like you mentioned earlier, is it going to be pretty hard to catch Dawn and Vic and Kim? Yeah. But what's great about the Big 12 is there can be a little bit of maneuvering from top to bottom and bottom to top. So I think this will be a really interesting year one because the portal, you don't know what teams are going to look like. And I think a lot of Big 12 teams had some good pickups from the portal, but then too, just all the new coaches, like it's going to be almost kind of a new league to me for sure. But for even the veteran coaches with a lot of new faces, there's been a lot of additions. So it'll be interesting because I think it's anyone's shot at, getting to that upper half of the league.
Wrapping things up, tell us about the kids, their sports, Crosby and Cy. What do they play now? Does Derek end up being shuttling kids around everywhere pretty much all year?
Yeah, well, they just became a cousin times 5. So Hannah just had her third, a little boy named Miles. And so they got to actually go to Kansas City and visit Hannah and Adam and see the new baby. So they were all puffed up and proud of being the older cousins. And
so just a second. So that means Hannah's ahead 3-2 in kids in the Carter Girls Showdown, right?
That
let her win that one
thing I'm not going to put a competition on. I concede. She can win that one.
Forfeit, right?
Yes, they're doing.
Yeah.
They're doing
What are they
great.
playing? What are Crosby and Cy? What do they like to play? What do
Oh
they do?
my goodness! Right now they're in all the sports. So flag football and soccer. Crosby's on a boys basketball team and a girls basketball team. They're doing little chippers, which is like golf on Sundays. So I like that they just want to explore everything. You know, I think specialization is hurting kids a lot these days. And so, we're just like, try everything, whatever you like. And each season will be kind of a different sport. And hopefully we can keep that up for a while, but they're having fun right now. It's like almost the winter in Missouri. We're staying inside a little bit more than being outside with the heat.
Giant garage sale of purple stuff or yet or not?
Oh my gosh, I've had all my peers, my coaching friends at GCU. They're like, can we raid your closet? So I've definitely been able to share all my purple Nike stuff with my GCU former colleagues.
And then that, and was it maroon? What do you call that? What's the color with gold?
Maroon and gold. Yep.
And what's that sign thing again we need to learn how to do?
This is forks up.
Forks up.
Sport. Yep. Forks up.
Okay.
Or you can say fear
why is
the
everything
fork.
Up? I mean, why not forks down?
You don't want to go down.
You can stick it in the opponent, just forks down in the opponent. No? How's you had such a great student group there at GCU. Is that something you have to build at ASU? I mean, and teach them how they're supposed to be?
Yeah, I'm excited about it. Like I met with the band director and we talked about getting more band members. And then the 942 crew is basically the student section. And I'm going to meet with them and we're going to have themes. And I just think it's an opportunity, right? To now, like there's this new chapter. It doesn't have to just look new from like the basketball brand standpoint. Let's make it look new in game environment, which I'm really excited about because we just had a 2-hour meeting yesterday with marketing and ticketing and promotion. And so they're really like wanting to generate ideas and including me. So I love that they'll let me lean into that because I probably have a little Cindy Carter in me. My mom, she's the promoter and the cheerleader. So it's really exciting, the momentum that we're building, and it's going to be a great look, a great environment, great atmosphere to come watch women's basketball. So we're excited that
I had Amy Egan a couple months ago. What a phenomenal year she had. She had great things to say about your relationship and staying in touch. I'm sure you were keeping tabs on what Amy was doing at Lindenwood as well, right?
Oh my gosh, so proud of her. Again, a feather in the cap to know like we were, teammates at one time in this coaching world, and to see her success. I mean, I expect that, but to watch it kind of play out live, just rooting her on every second. She's amazing. She's done great things for that program. Excited for her and watch her again this year.
Very good. Molly, come back to Missouri and we'll go get some rib crib and Andy's, okay?
Okay, Scott. Forks up.
Got it. I can't. Yeah, I can't. I'll get it down, okay? Thanks, Molly. We'll catch you again. Yes, right, we'll see you. Molly Carter Miller, the former Kickapoo and Drury standout. I always love having Molly on. And, again, one of those people like Amy Egan that you can ask them anything about the behind the curtain with their programs and they'll answer it. And we always appreciate that from an interview standpoint as well. Big thank you to our sponsors. Of course, Fast Break Sports, 3109 South Campbell is your home for all things sports cards, collectibles, sports memorabilia. Got those rookie cards you're trying to hunt down. They've got the protective sleeves and the things to nail those down and keep them in pristine condition for years and years. Stuff for your man cave from all the NFL teams, MLB, college teams, all at Fast Break Sports. Go see the guys over there. The Pitch Pizza and Pub, 2924 East Sunshine in the Southern Hills Shopping Center. Owner Brian Bevel and his crew are serving up the best pizzas, calzones, appetizers. They got great smoked wings over there. Lunch or dinner, go see the Pitch. They've got great meeting spaces available too. So if you've got a networking group or a graduation party or a birthday, need a place to meet, go see them at the Pitch Pizza and Pub. Great place to have a beverage and watch the sports on their TVs as well. So go visit the Pitch. And finally, Thompson Sales, 1555 East Independence, our newest sponsor. Of course, the Thompson boys have been dealing since 1919 with the area's best selection of new and used Dodge, GMC, and Buick cars and trucks. They have the best service center in the Ozarks. The Thompson boys treat you like family because you are family when you buy a vehicle from Thompson Sales. Again, our thanks to Molly for jumping on with us. That's going to do it for this week's edition. We'll see you next week on Around the Ozarks Sports Scene.